So how does tonight actually work? It starts with volunteers. Everyone working on Ignite does so out of the goodness of their heart or the lingering effects of childhood issues. Organizers, also, it's a great alternative, like if you're thinking, maybe I should run for the board of the homeowners association, or no, I could work on Ignite, that would be so much better. Organizers raise funds to cover production costs. Anything extra, and there will be extra, goes to charity. Thanks to the Friends Foundation for facilitating our fundraising for the event this evening. Now, when it came to thinking about the beneficiaries for Ignite this year, it seemed in many ways obvious. Proceeds tonight will benefit the Capital Gazette Memorial Scholarship Fund. In memory of some of our finest citizens and our most cherished neighbors. The fund benefits students of the University of Maryland's Philip Merrill College of Journalism, and this means that your attendance here this evening will help to ensure that the best among us will continue to ask the hard questions and tell the hard truths in perpetuity. So, how will this work tonight? 15 potentially intriguing humans will each use 5 minutes and 20 images to give you something to think about. You will leave here this evening richer than you entered. After the first 8 speakers, we'll have a 20-minute intermission with light fare from Saucy Salamander and beer, wine, and water available for purchase. This actually is what you were training for during snack time when you were 6, okay? Well, there's no longer any reason for me to be standing here. It's time to get Ignite rolling and spark some thought, and we'll do that with our first speaker this evening. Please welcome Griff Hall.
I want to talk about using empathy and listening to help people play their music. I stumbled on this idea during a job I had in college as a stagehand. Our biggest show was a funkadelic lineup with the stars of that 1970s era, Mother's Finest, Bootsy's Rubber Band, and the headliner, George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic. My job was to change the guitars and instruments between sets. And during the first set change, I was at center stage with the lead singer's guitar in my hand when, boom, the set lights came back on. Guitar in hand, I faced 10,000 frenzied fans of funk. All of them could tell I was not a funk master. Hey, white boy, let me see you play that thing. Where's your band, white boy? Come on, let's play that funky music. We kept the stage lights off for the second stage set. But the crowd still knew I was there, and amidst their raucous noise, I completed my mission, even though I was completely unnerved. After the concert, a simple defining thought crossed my mind. Every member of that audience felt like I did, and maybe every day. All I did was get a taste of it. And it was a taste of understanding someone else. And to really understand someone else, it's a little bit like setting the stage for them. It's easy to say, but it's hard to do. And here are 3 ideas that have helped me along my journey. One of my favorite acronyms is this one. Why am I talking? It is a reminder to listen without needing to respond, whether or not you agree, and to listen for what's really important. Imagine you're in charge of the stage and it's their music that will be heard. You may change the set by the questions you ask, but they are always the musician. The third idea that has helped me is volunteering. Through my involvement with Bella McCree, I've seen extraordinary examples of using empathy to help individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities play their music, and indeed, it is a beautiful sound. Through Leadership Anne Arundel, I've gotten to know people from many different backgrounds. Listening to them has led to relationships, and these relationships have changed my perspective and my life in enormous ways. I'd like to give you a famous example of a stage setter with a not-so-famous person, Joseph Corbel. He was a professor of international politics at the University of Denver, and although he wasn't famous, he's had an enormous impact on the world stage because his daughter is former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright. She credits her father's example as setting the stage for her. But Joseph Corbel also served as a mentor to a promising student, Condoleezza Rice. Initially a music major, it was Professor Corbel who sparked her interest in the Soviet Union and international relations. Dr. Rice describes him as a central figure in her life. And I've had the honor of hearing both of these former secretaries of state credit his influence on their careers and helping them to rise above previously unbroken ceilings. Indeed, he set the stage to help them play their music. I've spent a good bit of time in Dayton, Ohio, which, coincidentally, is the funk capital of the world. It has a rich funk history, and there's even a Funk Music Hall of Fame there. And you can bet I still look pretty out of place. But while in Dayton, I stumbled onto something that brought this notion of stage setting full circle for me. The writer and physician Oliver Wendell Holmes once remarked, "Most people go to their graves with their music still inside them. It isn't that they cannot find their music. It isn't that they do not have music. It is that they do not believe they have music, so they never look for it." You can help someone to believe they have music by setting the stage for them. It takes empathy and listening. So my challenge for all of us here tonight is this: whose stage are you setting so they can play their music?
Hello, my name is Paxton Paganelli, and tonight I'll be speaking about for the future of human health and medicine. So, before I wanted to be a doctor, obviously I wanted to be a wizard, but that I never got my letter from Hogwarts. It must have gotten left with the owls. But so what did attract me was medicine, and medicine it really has two core components: an art and a science. The art being the creativity and the humanity, and the science, of course, being breaking down the complexity to understand human nature. And so I wanted to learn more. I wanted to learn a lot more about medicine, but never really had the opportunity with mentors or people that I knew. I tried, coming from Bronick Elementary, the Magothy River Middle School, and then to Bronick High School. I got straight A's. I did everything I could, but I still couldn't hear from different doctors or talk to different doctors to really know what it was like. And as you know and have heard the status quo, it's just the way that it is. But people that have inspired me are those that challenge this statement, challenge the status quo. And a person who inspires me is Florence Nightingale. For your Game of Thrones fans, kind of like the late 1800s equivalent of Mother of Dragons, Breaker of Chains. And though she didn't break chains, and she more so broke unsanitation policies. But so to get this thing rolling, we started a club at Bronick High School, and we formed a relationship with Dr. Mark Broussard, who's a local orthopedic surgeon, who's provided a lot of great opportunities. But the bigger problem is with the lack of mentors and medical exposure is the faulty pipeline, just generally across the United States. And you have students leaking out, all across America because of mentorship and financial reasons. And this leads to medical inequities. And you wonder why there's different care among different people across the United States. And you have to really look at medical representation. And on top of that, the Association of American Medical Colleges predicts a 100,000 plus doctor shortage, which is really going to cripple the most vulnerable communities in our country and in our town. But progress isn't slowing down. With the different human genetics and various therapeutic additions, we're having rapid developing technology and treatments, but not the availability to give it to everyone in our communities and across the nation. What we need better connections between the local medical communities and the youth in our communities. So what we have done with the Future of Human Health and Medicine organization, formerly the Future Doctors organization, is provide showing possibilities, empowerment, and a place for community for students that might not otherwise have exposure to opportunities. And as you can see, some of the accomplishments we've had since we started in 2012 was providing 350 students with exposure to medical opportunities, 150 medical opportunities, and this year we're having our 7th annual medical career night. And again, we started at Bronick High School. We're moved to Severna Park High School as of this year with 40 plus requests from around the country and even internationally to bring these exposure programs. And what we want to do is provide more opportunity starting here in Annapolis. As you can see with the Mars rover, it was a sad month in February when opportunity was decommissioned, but it turned from a 9-month expected project to 15 years of solid research. And one of the exciting things that we're working on right now, and that we're just near the completion, is filming 3 fantastic local medical professionals getting their story so that students like in our organization and then across the United States can really hear the stories of a lot of different medical professionals. And to really capture the essence of the future of human health and medicine is a quote from Nkosi Johnson, who unfortunately was a victim to AIDS and HIV and lived to age 12. But what he said was, do all you can with what you have in the time you have in the place you are, especially with a community and empowering community. So with that, thank you all for listening, and thank you to all these people on the screen for their help in helping get FOMO to where we are today.
Good evening. My name is Chris Schock, and I am excited to share with you how dog rescue restores my faith in humanity. Okay. First, to be clear, I am not the hero of this story. The rescuers are the heroes. I am a supporter of dog rescue. The great news is you don't have to be a rescuer to benefit from dog rescue. I have always prided myself on being a glass half full kind of gal. Through the ups and downs of life, more often than not, my approach is the glass half full. That approach has been deeply challenged over the last few years as my desire to be well-informed has conflicted with my desire to remain sane, especially on the internet. I am not alone. According to a 2016 election survey, politics have impacted online relationships. This data was recorded following the 2016 election, and I can only imagine it has increased over the last couple of years through the midterm elections and government shutdown. Anxiety and worry about the future are not new topics. What is new is their relationship to politics. The quickest way to lose all faith in humanity is to read the comments section of just about anything on the internet. According to the Washington Post, social media and the 24-hour news cycle cause so much stress, one therapist coined a new term, headline stress disorder. The Post's recommendation? Channel your concern to make a positive difference on issues you care about. Enter hope for pause. Around the same time of my internet spiral, I found myself drawn to dog rescue videos online. Any of my Facebook friends can tell you, sooner or later, about everything I posted was exclusively dog rescue videos. Hope for Paws is one of the best. They follow a simple formula for their 5 to 15-minute videos. Introduce a desperate situation, document the intervention of good humans, then capture and celebrate the happy ending. I found this formula to be incredibly soothing. This is Eldad. Okay, he's the founder of Hope for Paws with Miley here. They found Miley barely alive on a trash heap and transformed her into a happy, healthy pup. Many of Eldad's rescues start with cheeseburgers to lure the pups. Here, he followed by climbing in a hole 18 feet underground to rescue 9 puppies. He closed with the puppies frolicking with their surrogate mother. So a few years back, I began donating just $10 a month to Hope for Paws in California, and presto, from my couch in Annapolis, I feel like I'm making a difference in these pups' lives. Cut to our own backyard. Around the same time I began donating to Hope for Paws, I was looking for an activity to do with the oldest of my 3 stepdaughters. Enter the SPCA Parent and Teen Program. Here's the SPCA's spin on the formula. They take in animals from desperate situations all over the world, from Kosovo to California to local surrenders of all kinds. Add good humans as fosters, volunteers, staff, and donors, and in 2018, they reported a total of 1,685 happy endings. Just a few of their amazing humans include Tina Wolford, the rescue coordinator, also retired DOD. Boyd Ingram is a volunteer mentor, trainer, and coach, and also an airplane mechanic for UPS. The Crawford family, mom Tricia and daughter Maggie lead the parent and teen volunteers, and son Nick is on staff. This is staff member Shane Carroll, loving on Rex, who finally went home this week after more than 530 days at this nonprofit no-kill shelter. That's 530 days of belly rubs, snuggles, and walks in the woods with an adoring staff and volunteers. So to those who say, I couldn't do it, it's just too sad, please believe me, the reward so outweighs the heartbreak. You get to walk these gorgeous creatures in a beautiful waterfront nature trail. One of my favorite rewards is access to the volunteer Facebook page, where each week we see reports of the many adoptions and pup date reports of alumni from the shelter, happy in their forever homes. Now, even if you can't volunteer, foster, or adopt, you can attach the SPCA to your Amazon account, leverage social media to raise awareness, or you can just look for the SPCA banks at the checkout lines around town. Fun fact, those little banks raised $18,000 in 2018. In the words of Desmond Tutu, do those little bits of good where you are. It is those little bits of good put all together that overwhelm the world. Okay, so for me it's dog rescue. But if animals aren't your thing, I assure you, the formula stands true for so many incredible organizations. Step away from the internet and look for the helpers. Contribute to their good work, and you too will have your faith in humanity restored. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Scott McMullen, and this is my community story. On a warm August day in 2017, I was campaigning and door knocking with my friend Scott Poyer, who's up there somewhere. Hi, Scott. I was an optimistic 36-year-old millennial campaigning for county council, and I wanted to make a difference in my hometown. My campaign was about bringing community together at a local level, and I wanted to bring all different kinds of people together to make a difference by acting as if tomorrow matters. I was aware of the national rhetoric that was going on, but that wasn't why I was running for office. I was running to make a difference in my hometown. While campaigning that August day, Scott and I came upon a man on the street who stopped us and told us that there was no soliciting allowed in the neighborhood. Scott told the man that we weren't soliciting, we were campaigning and exercising our free speech rights. The man asked our political party, and we answered. The man got mad and began to follow us. He stood at an intersection, and we came around. This is my chicken scratch diagram here. And we came around and we walked around the circle, and when we were passing him, he spit on us right there. I got the worst sick feeling. Yes, that is my 12-year-old chicken scratch handwriting. I got the worst sick feeling in my stomach from being spit on, but alas, the very next door we knocked on, an Oklahoma lady named Jean gave me the most genuine, kind hug I've ever got after I introduced myself. I couldn't believe the conflict between two political parties on such a hyper-local level. The man had blind hatred for me. The woman named Jean was extremely happy to see me. I believe that we are all different and we have to work together on a local level to better our communities. We need to be patient and do the little things. We need to smile and we need to get outside the circles to ultimately build our social circles to ultimately build a stronger community. The contrast I saw during my campaign wasn't limited to just political affiliation. A woman singled me out during the presentation, asking me how it felt to be the only man in the room, and she spit in my ear. Another instance, a woman who was an endorsement committee informed me that she was not endorsing me because I was a man. A sitting judge berated me for supporting a black woman. I'm not sure if this angry mob mentality was something every candidate experienced, or if there's something new this year, or maybe I just deserve to be spit on. I feel like people are reacting angrily to the national rhetoric and forgetting about our community. This is my sweet mom right here. I literally owe her everything. But when it comes to politics, we are different. I went to Obama's second inauguration. She went and protested Obama one time. Again, I feel like some things we are reacting too much on the national rhetoric and forgetting about what matters most. Why do we need a tragedy in our community to come together? Why can't we be Annapolis strong without a horrible shooting? We all live here together, and I do think we are better together. The solution to this mob mentality, tribalism, or visceral conflict between local groups lies in keeping calm and being proactive, not reactive. So what are some things we can do rather than spitting, yelling, or ranting on a Facebook forum to bring our community together? Well, first, I think we should volunteer in our local community. You can help by mentoring a student, helping an elderly person, working on a community project. Contact your local volunteer organization and just get involved. Shop and buy local to make a difference in your community. You can support local businesses, support the local economy. By supporting local businesses, you can shape the character of our community for generations. Clean up your streets or local streams. You can volunteer with the Arundel Rivers Federation and other organizations to help clean up our local creeks. Put some time tidying up the streets that you use every day. Roll up your sleeves and get down and dirty. Donate to the less fortunate. Donate old items of clothing to local homeless shelters, food to animal shelters, any household item to local charity shops. It all helps. Realize that most of us are very lucky and there are people that could use a little help. And this is a quote, this next quote here on the next slide is what I think we should do and be proactive with the national rhetoric. In the space between stimulus, what happens, and how we respond lies our freedom to choose. It is a choice of acting or being acted upon. And I think we should take action by going out and volunteer, among other things. So the next time someone yells, touches, or spits on you for being you, take a deep breath and realize that we are all different and we all have our perspectives and see the world together. Smile if you can. Take a grassroots approach to local matters instead of a national level down focus. And remember, to be proactive, again, take a deep breath. Remember that we are all different and this community belongs to all of us. Remember that how we respond to everything is what counts. Be calm, be proactive, be positive, and get to know your neighbors to bring them together. And finally, remember this. My call to action is to be like the nice Oklahoma lady at the beginning of the story on that warm August day when I was door knocking and campaigning. Be like Jean and choose to give someone a hug or a high five next time you meet someone. Choose to love thy neighbor, not to spit on them. A healthy, vibrant, and growing community depends on it. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm Elizabeth Cush, and tonight I am talking about Be Your Own BFF, loving yourself and others, pimples and all. I'm a therapist, blogger, and podcaster here in Annapolis, and tonight I'm talking about self-compassion and why it's so important. I am an introvert and have struggled with anxiety for most of my life, so you can imagine how presenting here tonight has made me feel. So when I started my business years ago, my anxiety kicked into overdrive and my inner critical demons made me crazy with self-doubt. What might you say to someone who is struggling with the same thing? Here's what I was saying to myself. Who do you think you are? You don't know anything about business or marketing. You're probably going to fail. Pretty harsh, right? Fortunately, I had friends and colleagues who introduced me to the concept of self-compassion. I bought books, I listened to CDs, I watched videos, and I practiced. And you know what? It helped to reduce my anxiety and stress. But not only that, it made me more compassionate towards others who were struggling. I began to see how my clients' self-doubts, self-judgments, and harsh inner critical thoughts were feeding their anxious and depressed feelings. So now, I advocate for more self-compassion and less self-criticism, because it can change our relationship with ourself and with others. So what is self-compassion? It's not self-esteem, which relies on competition and one-upmanship, creating feelings of disconnection from family, friends, coworkers, and teammates. Instead, self-compassion allows that we all have strengths, and your strengths don't diminish mine. For me to feel good about me, I don't have to feel badly about you. And self-compassion isn't about closing our eyes to our mistakes, our struggles, our frustrations. Instead, self-compassion recognizes that we're all imperfect. So even when we struggle with eating too much or drinking too much or yelling at our kids, we can recognize with compassion that we can do things differently. And it's not about self-pity, which leaves us feeling alone when we're struggling, making us feel isolated. Instead, self-compassion recognizes that we all struggle. And when we recognize and when we can realize that we're not alone in our suffering, it makes us feel less isolated. So why is it so hard? Because we often use criticism for motivation, but criticism activates our fight-flight response, which makes us even more distressed. But with self-compassion, we can learn to soothe our nervous system, allowing us to think more, wrong one. But our brains can't tell the difference between yelling at ourselves and being in actual danger. With self-compassion, we can learn to soothe our nervous system, making it easier to think clearly, problem solve more effectively, and focus our attention on what's next. So let's practice being our own BFFs. Let's embrace our common humanity and imperfections. For a moment, close your eyes, place your hands on your heart, and think of something that you've struggled with. Now say to yourself, that was a moment of suffering. Everyone struggles from time to time. May I be kind and accept myself as I am. I've healed, and I've seen my clients heal through the practice of self-compassion. I know that we can create stronger bonds with ourselves and others if we open our hearts.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Suggs. I recently moved my wife, hi Jazz, and my daughter from Charlotte, North Carolina to Maryland. So it's a pleasure to have a chance to meet some new people and make some new friends right here in Annapolis. Tonight, I want to talk with you about crucial conversations. I grew up on the south side of Chicago. I had limited access to my father during my formative years because he was dealing with drug abuse and prison. I missed out on the crucial conversations that every young boy needs, like perfecting the technique on my jump shot, and it was nice, okay, sometimes, to straight up learning how to be a man. But thankfully, I was lucky in community. I had my mother, my grandmother, my Uncle Ron, and our church. And I had the Black Man's Country Club, my local barber shop, and my barber, Alex. Rest in peace, big brother. The barber shop is a unique social space. There's only one other person besides God and your significant other who knows your inner secrets, your barber. In the barber shop, we confide in each other because we trust each other. The barber shop shaped my views on politics, religion, sports, and culture. From my barbershop community, I get encouragement and mentorship. And to be blunt, I was able to have crucial conversations. I was blessed to receive a basketball scholarship to Claflin University, graduated, and had success as a salesperson for a major sports franchise and a Fortune 100 company. But the power of the barbershop stayed with me, and I still go twice a month to get haircuts and give advice and take advice. In 2017, I quit my job and I launched a startup. My startup empowers barbers to give blood pressure screenings in communities where healthcare access and utilization are lacking. But don't take my word for it. Let's look at the data. The New England Journal of Medicine says that social, environmental, and behavioral factors determine 60% of overall health. That's right, 60%. More than 40% of African American men have high blood pressure, and as a result, heart disease and stroke are the leading cause of death for African American men. So, the American Journal of Public Health says that there is a 4.4-year life expectancy gap between African American men and the rest of the population. Additionally, Stanford University study recently said that distrust of the medical system historically has counted for 35% of the life expectancy gap. I have a mission to close that life expectancy gap by leveraging the trusted social space of the barbershop to influence the social determinants of health. So how can we do that, you may ask? In practice, this is about barbers providing blood pressure screenings and having crucial conversations with their clients about health. That's right, barbers and health. This past Christmas, I received a terrible call from my mother. She said that my dad was rushed to the hospital and needed multiple heart surgeries. He now has a medication pipeline that keeps him alive. He's 55 years old, struggling from congestive heart failure, and not nearly as mobile as he would like. Today, our conversations sound like this. Pops, what did you eat today? And did you remember to take your medicine? There are many men, African American men in particular, who have similar stories as my dad, who are struggling with chronic health conditions because they don't go to the doctor and neglect their health. But these same men will go to the barbershop every 2 weeks, completely expecting to have an open conversation with their barber. So why not have a crucial conversation about health? At a macro level, I want the Ignite audience to recognize that healthcare access is a serious problem, and if we want to sway some of the social determinants of health, we have to consider alternative methods of healthcare delivery. But from a personal level, I implore each of you to have a crucial conversation with a friend, family member, or colleague about their health. Don't wait, a life may depend on it. Have a good evening, have a prosperous 2019, go have those crucial conversations, and happy birthday to my 2-year-old daughter, Soraya. I love you.
Good evening. The love in me greets the love in you. Being broke is no joke. What do you tell somebody that says, if someone tried to rob me, they would just be practicing? What do you tell someone that says, I have to rob Paul to pay Peter? Other than call the police, what do you say to them? Being broke is no joke. Being broke is no joke. Contemplating, perpetrating, and selling coke. Those were lyrics from a 1980 song that spoke about being broke ain't no joke. Today I say being broke is no joke. Contemplating, perpetrating, and losing hope. The solution to that is to get wealth. The good news about being broke is that broke can be fixed. Money is the problem solver. So again, broke can be fixed. All we need is more money, right? So how do we do that? I can go through and tell you about all the different money traps to escape, but we all know many of these money traps. I have a list of over 100 money traps. One of them is wearing your wealth. Wearing your wealth, as you see this young lady wearing her wealth. Sometimes you have to invest in yourself and not wear your wealth. That's one of the money traps that we have to try to escape. We have to have vision, have goals, have purpose, set some goals. That's a vision board. So what do you want out of life? You have to have goals that make you want to soar, that make you want to move fast. So those are some other ways to avoid the money traps in life. Being a side buster versus being a sod buster. One of my favorite television shows is The Rifleman. It's a very old show, and oftentimes they'll call each other, hey, side buster, hey, sod buster. A sod buster is a farmer. So I ask you today, what are you cultivating? Farmers cultivate, harvest, and grow things. A side buster is just a busybody. So we have to get out of being a busybody and start side busting. Another way to avoid the traps is to give your dollars daily directions. So when you just throw your money up and you don't tell your money where to go, that's a huge trap in life. So give your dollars daily directions. Another way to avoid those traps is to sometimes you have to live off the land. If you're somebody that shops all the time, we have a little saying called living off the land means that you're eating whatever is in the house. Maybe for a week, there's no grocery shopping. You're, for a season, you're wearing what's in your closet. You're living off the land. And when you're living off the land, there's no market to go to except if you want to visit the public library. So another way to avoid some of those traps is that you got to upgrade your huddle. This is Herb, the late Herb Kelleher, and myself, the co-founder of Southwest. We all could do something great if we just upgrade our huddle, get to know other people. He is now gone, but his life lives off in books. So books are something that's available to all of us. We have to seek knowledge no matter what your age is, that we have books available. So again, that's a way to escape the traps of life. Seek knowledge, and just always remember to plan, plant, and prosper in all that you do. And also help others to plan, plant, and prosper. Thank you.
I'm Andrea Chambly, and this is my new identity as the widow of John McNamara of the Annapolis Capitol. I left off when I wrote in the Washington Post about the hours it took for anyone to give the names of the dead at the Capitol to the crisis response team, and my lost sleep, and my lost weight, and my lost sense of safety. Since then, I learned how the children struggled. My little nieces were up late waiting for the news, and it's the first night they can stay up late enough to see fireflies. Their mom has to explain who allows the party lights on the same night that their Uncle John is senselessly taken. Why are they so pretty tonight? Where can we sleep that's safe from a shooting? And I don't have a good answer. John's godson is 2 years old. His swing needs a push, and he looks me in the face and asks, "Uncle John?" I told him Uncle John was in the moon. So how do I keep going now? I started writing an absurdity of the day when MetLife saw his death certificate and said they wouldn't pay his life insurance claim because he was shot. They told me, "You're his partner." They told me, "You probably did it." So I went to see the memorials on Bestgate Road. I put his favorite Marilyn Terrapin's hat on his cross. I wrote the lyrics to the Beatles' "I Will" song on his hat. I don't know where his hat ended up. I don't know where the clothes he was wearing ended up. They're evidence, but his shoes had been slipped under his desk, and I could have those, and the books that had been on top of his desk. I donated his summer shirts to a charity that dresses men for job interviews. They might as well have the summer shirts in July. And I donated his winter coats in early December for the same reason. I did keep that black jacket, though, for now. On the day I was supposed to return from our summer vacation, I got ready for work, and I struggled with every decision, like whether to cover my pasty legs with spray tan or hose, and I decided neither. I wore a dress that was too big. I wear his press pass under my shirt and his wedding ring on my right hand. My colleagues ask me how I can go to work, and I ask them how I can go home. I visit the National Expert Grief Counselor for Mass Shootings. I go for 5 months until the insurance runs out and the traffic to the office in Northern Virginia frazzles my nerves. The counselor tells me to do whatever it takes to make sure I don't come home to a dark, silent house, so I ask Alexa to play a romantic love song. The song that comes on is My Life, the Beatles song that we played at his memorial. I use a lot of sick leave. I show up at events like this. I finished his book on basketball. I speak. I listen. I stand silently as a witness to other people's pain. I wake up at 3:30 in the morning screaming, or at least I think I'm screaming. John's not there to tell me whether I'm screaming out loud or not. He's not there to hug me while I shake. On my days off, I change my credit cards. Verizon won't let me put my name on the bill. If I disable his phone, I'll lose the texts and pictures while his lawyers and the police have the phone. I have to change my passwords when my accounts are hacked by people who are angry at my speeches supporting background checks. So now what? I still look for his car in the driveway. I still do a double take when there's just one plate of food for dinner or one load of laundry for one. I still reach out for him at night, expecting that he's emerged on his pillow. I write a lot. My writing teacher wants to know what my season is. What's the season where everything is dying and still forcing its way out? It's anguished and ugly and unfinished, like the new me. So I don't know where I'm going, but I do know I can't stand still. We're not waiting for what we know what to do. We know what to do. We're not waiting for a tragedy. We've had tragedies worse than we can ever imagine. I hope you won't stand still. Come with us. We know what we need to do. We need background checks for everyone. We need red flag laws. We need to reinstate the ban on bump stocks and high-capacity magazines and military-style weapons. So next will be the list of the 31 Maryland children shot since Valentine's Day at Parkland. So for them, don't stand still. The Gun Sense Action Network has a lot of volunteer activities. You can go to vote.org, you can find your elected representatives and call them, and support the law at Congress to close the gun show loophole. Thank you.
Let's take a break.